This anime starts with the main protagonist, whom was said to be the strongest exorcist of his time. However, due to his lust for power that led him down the path to become the world's strongest, made him the object of envy. He was betrayed by his companions, stripped of everything. His students were held hostage, and he is now moments away from death as he tells his pupil it's not her fault, as she is crying moments away from ending his life. However, in his final moments, he vows not to fail in the next life as he casts the secret reincarnation technique. Now, fast forward and we're introduced to a father and his 3 sons left, Gray and Seika. Their father was testing Seika's aptitude for magic, but then realizes that he has 0 and is unable to use magic. Gray proceeds to make fun of Seika, calling him an embarrassment. Seika was born as the 3rd son to the prestigious Lambercase family of magic scholars, but due to his reincarnation, he was born without the affinity to use magic, a boy without mana and the son of a concubine. However, Seika had the ability to create and tame Shikigami at will because of his ability from his past life. Gray approaches Seika while he was practicing and proceeds to call him spilled milk as a failed attempt at bullying him, but was attacked by his Shikigami. Luft then appears and chases away the Shikigami that was attacking Gray. Luft then asks Gray if he was okay as he was on the ground weeping. Luft then asked Seika if he was okay. He responded by saying yes, and then the 2 brothers walked away. A couple years went by. Seika is now 7 years old, but since he is an illegitimate child, there was no celebration for him. However, he spends his days learning and creating paper, which he then uses to create paper talismans. Fast forward and Seika is visited by a young maid named Hifa. She returned a piece of garment that belonged to him that she found in the bushes. Seika quickly realizes that it was another one of his brother Gray's pranks. Seika thanks Hifa for returning it to him and then Gray appears. He tells her to get back to work asserting his dominance as a noble, and then proceeds to make fun of Seika, boasting about the fact that he's able to use magic while Seika cannot. Shortly after, their father in Luft appears, as it is time for him to test their magical ability. Seika then asks if he could accompany them and was given permission to join. Fast forward, and now they're at the training round. Luft then releases a fine showing of wind magic, partially destroying the target. Now it's Gray's turn. He then releases a fireball at the target. However, he failed to destroy it. Gray then approaches Seika in an attempt to embarrass him in front of his father. He tells him to give it a try as he passes the wand over to him. Seika then agrees and takes the wand from his brother. As he approaches the target, he contemplates whether he should show his true abilities or not. Then he proceeds to release a massive blue fireball with no incantation, then completely demolishes the target. They were all stunned. They couldn't believe what just happened. Gray tried to play down Seika's skills by claiming his magic was still in the wand, but was promptly corrected by his father. Seika asked his father permission to learn magic like his brothers but was turned down, due to the fact that he has never heard of a mage with no mana learning magic as it would be pointless. However, he agrees to hire him a tutor just as he did for his brothers. Seika was very happy and eager to learn. Seika studied diligently as the years went by, as he is now 11 years old. Seika then tries to summon one of his spirits he had tamed in his previous life as they're sealed in another dimension. He was successful in summoning a female fox spirit who took on the shape of a little white-haired fox girl. She then quickly acknowledged him as her master and called him by his old name. He proceeds to explain the whole situation and then explained that he summoned her as an experiment. He then stated that he can't be seen with her looking the way she does, but before he could send her back to the void, she transformed into a tiny fox spirit in hopes of staying with him in the new world. Fast forward and Hifa was on her way to see Seika when she managed to bump into Gray and got his clothes wet. She then swiftly apologizes to him, but he was livid. As punishment, he proceeds to tell her to come to his room tonight. However, Seika stepped in and saved Hifa from Gray. Gray got angry and attempted to punch Seika, but was stopped in his tracks. He calls Seika spilled milk as he walks away, saying, "This is not the last he's heard of this." Fast forward, Hifa and Seika came across an injured animal laying next to a tree. Hifa was extremely worried for the animal's well-being. She asked Seika if he could save the animal using magic. He then tells Hifa to look away as he uses his talisman to heal the injured animal. Hifa was amazed by his abilities as she thanked him for saving its life. However, he realized that Hifa was special, and that she can see things regular people can't. She has the ability to see souls and interact with them. She was surprised that he figured out her secret since the only other person that knew about her was her mother, who passed away when she was young. She then stated that the spirits act unusually around Seika. They always swarm around his belongings, but somehow always stay away from him. Seika ponders as to why that is. He then proceeds to ask her if she can command the spirits. He creates a flame spirit from his talisman and asks her to dispel it using her magic. She managed to dispel it after a few attempts. Seika then realizes that she has a rare talent, and agrees to teach her magic. Fast forward 1 year later, Seika is now 12. Again, no one acknowledged his birthday. As Seika was walking down the hallway, lost in thought, he was approached by Gray and Luft. They offered to train him in swordplay since he pretty much had no future because he can't use magic, in an attempt to bully him. However, two maids came rushing by with bad news. A large monster was spotted in town and is heading towards the mansion. Shortly after, they heard a big bang. As they looked out the window, they saw a massive salamander. In fear of his life, Gray ran away screaming in terror while Luft ordered everyone to take shelter in the inner rooms of the mansion. Seika ran in the direction of the salamander as it came into contact with Hifa and another maid. The salamander attacked, but Hifa managed to block the attack with her spirit magic. Seika was amazed at what he just witnessed. He then proceeds to lure the rampaging salamander into the courtyard. As everyone watches through the windows of the mansion, Seika releases a massive spell, putting the massive salamander out of commission with a single blow. They all applauded him for the amazing feat that he managed to accomplish that day.
After defeating the salamander, Seika was rewarded with a lavish dinner as a reward for the incredible feat he managed to accomplish. He was finally acknowledged as a member of the family. His father was proud of him for the first time in 12 years. Seika is then praised by his father and older brother Luft. They were impressed by his display of courage in challenging the massive creature. However, Gray was not happy for Seika. He stares intensely at Seika with a look of dread and scorn written all over his face. His dad then stated that he was surprised that he knew the creature's weakness. Seika then told him he learned it from reading in an old tome. He was praised once more by his father, who then proceeds to offer Seika a reward. Seika then requested to attend the Rodnia Academy of Magic. However, his request came as a shock to his brother Gray. Their father then agrees to enroll Seika in the Magic Academy. Gray was not happy with his father's decision. Seika's father then told him that he will have to earn the right to attend the academy from the entrance exam. Seika then requested to have Ifa attend the academy as his attendant. Ifa was shocked, to say the least. However, his father was skeptical of his request, stating that Ifa does not have the adequate magical ability to attend the Magic Academy, and asked him to resign himself. However, Seika went on to demonstrate Ifa's ability in response to his father's comment. He then hands Ifa a wand, then asks her if she wants to attend the Magic Academy with him. While instructing her on what to do, Ifa resolved herself and followed his instructions. What happened next shocked everyone. A maid with hardly any magic aptitude manages to pull off a powerful intermediate spell. He then asks his father if her showing was acceptable. His father accepted his request to let Ifa attend the Magic Academy. Soon after, Gray protested, making it clear that he was against the decision, stating that Lamprock's family has never put two brothers on the same path before, as he was the one to attend the academy. Gray then stated that a lowly slave girl and Seika are not worth breaking years of tradition. His father responded by saying he has no intention of breaking tradition, as he only plans on sending one son to the academy, informing Gray that he will no longer be attending the Magic Academy and instead will be joining the Imperial Army. Gray looked as if his soul left his body. In an attempt to change his father's decision, he said he should be the one to attend the academy, stating that Seika doesn't have any magic, so therefore he shouldn't be allowed to attend. His father then asked him what has he been doing for the past few years, then stated that he hasn't made any effort to make any progress. Unwilling to accept his father's decision, Gray challenges Seika to a duel, wagering his attendance at the Magic Academy, and Seika would have to leave the house immediately if he loses. Seika sighs as he accepts Gray's challenge. However, Gray's mother tried to talk him out of his decision, telling him that brothers shouldn't fight. But Gray persisted. Shortly after, their father decided that the duel would take place the next morning, with the rule being that intermediate magic is forbidden and he will serve as the officiator. Fast forward and we then see Seika in his room creating his talismans. He is then visited by his brother Luft. Luft then enters Seika's room. He then states that it might be a late but happy birthday, then hands Seika a wooden box. Seika opens it and only finds a glass pen. Gray says he expects he goes through a lot of pens as he's always studying. Seika's face lit up with a smile as he thanked him for the present. Gray apologizes to Seika for being so distant over the years and then states that he did not know how to interact with him. Luft then tells Seika how proud he is of the outstanding young man that he has become. Luft then asked him to take it easy on Gray in their upcoming duel, that way will be a lesson for him to learn from. Luft then tells Seika to study hard when he begins the academy and wished him safe travels. Fast forward and Seika is admiring the gift he got from his brother. He then notices something unusual outside of his window. He then tells Uki, his summoned spirit, to hide. Seconds later, a gust of wind blew through his window. He checked to see what caused the commotion, only to find his brother Gray. Gray challenges Seika once more as he became impatient and didn't want to wait until morning. Gray then accuses Seika of plotting, but Seika denied his claims. Gray then goes on a rant all while saying it was pure luck that Seika beat the massive salamander. Gray then disregarded the rules set by his father and tells Seika that the duel will end when one of them gives up or passes out. He then proceeds to use intermediate magic even though it was forbidden by his father. Gray then engulfs Seika in a spiral of flames. However, Seika was unfazed. Gray then went on the offensive once more, releasing a wind lance at Seika, but was shocked when Seika erected a barrier that nullified his attack. Gray kept attacking, but it was all in vain. Seika then reaches for one of his paper talismans, then completely immobilizes Gray. Then the unthinkable happens. Seika was somehow able to link Gray's body with that of the talisman. This means Gray will sustain any and all damage inflicted on the talisman. Seika twisted the arm of the talisman, then Gray begun screaming from the pain. Gray conceded the match and then passes out shortly after. We then see a flashback of Seika orchestrating the entire salamander attack. He summoned another one of his spirits from the shadow realm and ordered it to enter the mountains and chase the salamander back to the mansion. Seika stated that he researched the monster thoroughly and planned everything down to the letter. Seika's fox spirit asks him why he decided to take such roundabout measures when he is strong enough to do as he pleases. Seika then responded by saying he does not want to repeat what had happened to him in his past life, and that he wishes to remain a weak human. Fast forward, and it is now time for Seika and Aoife to set out on their journey. Luff tells Seika that their father is not there to see them off but tells him to study hard. Luff then tells Aoife to take care of Seika. The two then say their final goodbyes as they set out on their journey. On their way to the academy, Seika gifts Aoife a beautiful necklace with heart-shaped gems made from mana stones. He tells her it will help her tremendously as they can draw in spirits. She thanks him with a massive smile on her face as she vows to take good care of it. Fast forward, and we then see Seika looking worse for wear. He had forgotten that he doesn't do well with carriages even in his past life. Aoife tries to comfort him as she noticed he wasn't doing well. The two then arrive at the academy as they can see in the distance. Fast forward, and we then see Seika's father in his study. He then reveals that 12 years ago Seika was delivered to his mansion by a mysterious woman. She handed him a baby boy who turned out to be the son of his younger brother Gilbert. Gilbert became an adventurer after leaving the academy as he valued freedom over his nobility. He then left to travel the world, but all contact ended when he entered infernal lands. He then revealed that black hair and black eyes are rare traits in their country. He then explained that Seika was able to use magic at just 1 year old. All these factors led to Luft keeping his distance from Seika and led to him getting bullied by Gray. He eventually began to wonder if Seika was born of a union between his younger brother and a devil. So he checked to confirm his suspicion, but Seika had no mana. He even noticed that Seika's blue fireball was not conjured using magic. Thus he surmised that sending Seika to the army would be dangerous, hence why he had to rob Gray of his dream of attending the magic academy. Aoife and Seika then arrive at their inn. We then see Seika slumped over the bed while he recovers from his motion sickness. Seika then tells Aoife that her room is next door, and her mood and demeanor suddenly change as she secretly wanted to stay in the same room with him. Aoife then asks Seika if he wanted her to spend the night in his room, but he was completely oblivious to her feelings. Fast forward, and the pair arrive at the gates of the Magic Academy. However, Seika sensed a strange accumulation of magic but decides to ignore it. Seika and Aoife then approached a female student who is in charge of measuring their aptitude for magic. Seika then introduces himself, but since he is from a noble family of magic scholars, everyone was already familiar with his family's reputation. Aoife then approaches the crystal ball, then placed her hand over it. The crystal ball began to glow. The girl sitting across from her told her that she has affinity for both fire and wind magic. Now it's Seika's turn. He places his hand over the crystal ball, but nothing happened. The red-haired girl was shocked. She had no idea why it didn't work. She then asked him if he has light or dark affinity, since the crystal ball is unable to detect light or dark magic. Seika then informs her that he does not have any mana. The other students couldn't believe what they heard. Seika then asked if he would be unable to attend the academy if he does not have mana, but was assured it wasn't the case. However, the other students started making fun of Seika, calling him a spoiled rich kid that only wanted to show off his slave. We are then introduced to a red-hair peasant girl named Amu. She walks up to the crystal ball, then placed her hand over it, and it begins glowing extremely bright, as she has an affinity for all 4 elements. All the other students were amazed by her abilities, some even wondering if she really is a commoner. Seika then tried to talk to her, but he was met with hostility as she couldn't accept the fact that he is attending the academy even though he doesn't have any mana. She tells him that he will only be in the way at the academy without the use of magic. She then taught that his family pulled strings to get him admitted into the academy. She then told him to stay out of her way as she walks away. However, she bears a shocking resemblance to someone he knew in his past life, which is why he reached out to her. We then see Seika and Aoife taking the Magic Academy entrance exam. Fast forward, and Aoife asks Seika how he did on the entrance exam. He then replied by stating that nothing tripped him up. However, Aoife needed to be more confident that she did well on the written exam, so Seika told her to make it up on the practical exam. Seika then notices the red-haired commoner girl walking by with a sword on her hip. He then wonders how good she is at fighting with a sword. The practical exam begins soon after, and all the students were instructed to use their magic to hit the targets, and their grading will be done based on how many points they accumulate. The practical exam begins, and all the students start casting spells, with each student only trying one element while only managing to produce mediocre results. It is now Aoife's turn. She then walks up to the target as Seika wishes her good luck. Aoife then casts the Flame Note spell, completely demolishing the target. Everyone stared at her with dumb looks as they couldn't believe what had just transpired. They couldn't think Aoife managed to use intermediate magic without the use of an incantation. Aoife then moved on to another target and cast the Wind Lance spell without using an incantation. She blew everyone's mind once again. Seika was overjoyed at the fact that she could use wind magic. Seika asked Aoife how she could use wind magic, and she then told him that she had been practicing on her own in her free time to surprise him. It was now Seika's turn to take the practical exam, and all the students began judging him because he didn't have any mana, asking why is he even trying. However, Seika cast the Fireball spell without incantation, completely incinerating the target. They couldn't believe what they just saw. Somehow a mana-less rich kid managed to release a powerful blue fireball. They couldn't believe it. Seika then moved on to the next target. He then cast an earth magic spell, completely eviscerating it. He then proceeded to do the same with water magic, completely encasing it in ice. Seika managed to shock even the instructor with his incredibly overpowered abilities. Aoife then begins laughing, stating that the shocked look on everyone's faces put her in a good mood. We then see Aoife and Seika awaiting their results. Aoife then tells Seika, "Please don't throw me out if I don't pass," with a worried look on her face. Seika chuckled and then assured her that won't happen. Seika then found his name on the list of applicants that passed the practical but was surprised to find out he was placed third on the list. However, Aoife was shocked to find out that she had placed second. Seika then congratulated her on passing the practical exam with an embarrassed look on his face. He couldn't believe he had lost to Aoife in the practical exam. He then found out Amu, the red-haired commoner girl, got the top spot in both the written and practical exams as she managed to get the number 1 spot. A few weeks later, Aoife and Seika got accepted into the Magic Academy. We then see the pair sporting their new school uniform as they attend the school's entrance ceremony. Seika then sensed something unusual. He asked Aoife if she sensed the presence of any spirits nearby, and she replied by saying there were a few little dark spirits in the surrounding area. Seika then decides to check it out and comes across a giant magic circle carved into the ground. They both concluded that there was something unusual about the magic circle but decided to leave it alone as it was on school property and they shouldn't mess with it. Seika then scatters a few of his talismans in the surrounding area to contain the flow of negative energy emanating from the magic circle. Aoife and Seika then joined the entrance ceremony. Aoife was amazed by how big the place was and how amazing the food looked. Seika then noticed Amu as she approached the banquet hall where the entrance ceremony was being held. As she began her speech, Seika sensed the activating of the magic circle he found earlier. 3 demons appeared out of nowhere, and all the students panicked as they tried to escape. We then see the instructor try to defend the academy against the 3 demons. However, the demons were unfazed. They went on the offensive. One of the demons attacked one of the instructors, but Amu managed to make it in the nick of time, wounding the demon and saving the instructor in the process. Seika locates the magic caster that summoned the demons and took off while Amu takes care of the 3 demons. Seika then came face to face with the one calling the shots, only to find another inhuman creature. The two went back and forth as they exchanged words. Then the demon summoned 3 lesser demons to attack Seika. He then quickly dispatched 2 of the lesser demons, then proceeded to transport one inside his void, where he keeps his summoned creatures. Seeing what Seika can do, the metal devil Galgalius decides to face Seika himself. The two then engage in a fierce battle of magic. However, Seika is surprised when he realizes Gallius can see his invisible paper talismans. Gallus then summoned a massive sword, then launched it at Seika. Seika was surprised at how slow it was and managed to dodge it with little effort. However, Gallus teleported the sword, changing its trajectory and wounding Seika. Gallius then followed up with a flame magic spell. Seika then leaped in the air to get out of the way. Gallius then teleported behind, cutting off his left arm. Seika then asks Gallius what he is searching for at the academy. Gallius agrees to tell Seika his plans because Seika used teleportation magic as well. Gallus then tells Seika that he is looking for the hero, a red-haired girl who wields extraordinary powers. Seika then realized Gallus was looking for Amu. Seika blurted out Amu's name without realizing it, giving Gallius exactly what he wanted. Gallus continues to attack. Seika tries to evade, but he gets bombarded from all angles by Gallus's blades, separating his head from his body and killing him. Gallus then begins walking away when he hears Seika's voice reciting a poem. Gallius is surprised as he thought he had just killed Seika. He then asks Seika, "How are you still alive?" But before Seika could answer, Gallus struck Seika in the head with a dagger, but Seika was unfazed. Gallius attacked Seika once more. Seika dodged and counterattacked with water magic, completely flooding the surrounding area. However, Gallus used teleportation magic to escape and appeared behind Seika. Seika summoned his thunder beast from the void and struck Gallus with lightning. But Seika got entirely run through by Gallius, who appeared behind him. However, Seika anticipated Gallus's actions and set a trap for him, causing a massive explosion. The now injured Gallius insisted on carrying on with the fight. However, Seika showed him how futile his struggle is by summoning a creature he keeps locked away in the furthest part of his void, a blue dragon. Gallius was shocked, stating that not even demon lords could command a dragon as he quivered in fear. Gallius is then brutally vanquished by the menacing dragon. Shortly after the dragon tried to get away from Seika, he then successfully returned it to the void while stating that its rebellion was because his body was much weaker than it once was in his previous life. We then see Yuki crying out for Seika as she had gotten left behind when Seika teleported to fight Gallius. Fast forward, and Seika returned to the banquet hall. Aoife then informs him that Amu defeated all the lesser demons on her own. Seika then notices the look of contempt and jealousy from the other students around him as they stare at Amu. Seika then vows to make sure she becomes the strongest. He will protect her even if it means defeating the Demon King. Here we see Seika attending the Magic Academy 1 month after devils attacked the school. Seika is then greeted by Aoife, telling him good morning with a pleased look on her face as she is happy to see him. We then see Amu, the girl rumored to be the next legendary hero with extraordinary ability. Seika plans on living an effortless life by befriending someone strong like Amu so he wouldn't be in the spotlight. Seika tries talking to Amu, but she quickly shuts him down, telling him to stop talking to her as if they were friends. Amu storms off and leaves Seika standing. Seika is unfazed as he has just begun his new life at the Magic Academy and has plenty of time to become friends with Amu. However, he remembers that he has no idea how to make friends. Seika and Aoife begin walking to class, then out of nowhere, Seika notices an object floating above them. He quickly springs into action, using his talisman to teleport to safety. Aoife stood there in shock, wondering what had just happened. Seika then checks to see what almost fell on them, only to find a weird green substance. We then see Professor Cordwell emerge from a window on the upper floor of the academy. He then asks if they are okay, then apologizes for what happened. Seika then asked Cordwell what the strange substance was. Cordwell stated that it's a mixture needed for his research. Seika then asked Cordwell if he was responsible for the floating object. Cordwell then stated that he tried using dark magic to move the thing to the higher floors even though he is a light element specialist. Seika is very skeptical and wary of Cordwell, noting that someone who can use both light and dark magic is extremely rare. Cordwell apologizes once more, then leaves. They are now back in class. The teacher asks the 2 top students to help her take the new students' roster to the temple to have it blessed. Seika then remembers that that's where he met the demon. Worried about her well-being, he told Aoife to decline the assignment, then stated that he would go in her place. We then see Aoife and Seika walking after class. Seika then apologizes for ordering her to decline the assignment given to her. She thinks nothing of it, stating that he most likely did it for a good reason. Seika then tells Aoife that a lot of people resent Amu after her fine showing against the demons, and that he wishes to protect her from those who want to bring her harm. Aoife then becomes jealous and asks Seika if Amu is the kind of girl he likes. Seika then assures her that is not the case and that he only wishes to be good friends with her. Aoife then agrees to help him. Fast forward to the next day, Seika and Amu set out to the shrine. However, Amu is weary of Seika. She asks him what he is trying to pull. Seika says he wants to get a chance to talk to her. Amu jokes about him and Aoife asking Seika if she isn't enough for him. He tries telling her it is just a misunderstanding and that he and Aoife are not in a relationship. The two continue to bicker, then all of a sudden, Amu begins having a massive headache. Seika noticed something was off and then stumbled upon a magic circle that transported them to a dungeon. Seconds later, they were attacked by monsters, but Amu swiftly took care of them with the fireball spell, burning them to a crisp. Seika was amazed by her skills. Seconds later, a giant goblin snuck up behind Amu. An undetected Seika then acted swiftly, crushing the goblin and killing it. They then began wandering around the dungeon, looking for a way out. Seika then began placing his talismans around the dungeon so his Shikigami outside the dungeon could locate him and help them find a way out. Shortly after, they sensed the presence of many strong monsters approaching them. Amu sprung into action, decapitating all the monsters. However, she got knocked down soon after. Seika rushed to her rescue, casting the wood element stake driver art, annihilating the goblins. Seika gets backed into a corner as he tries to protect Amu. Amu then passes out, giving Seika the perfect opportunity to summon his giant centipede, decimating everything in its path. A few moments later, Amu woke up and was shocked that Seika managed to defeat all the monsters and was also able to heal her wounds. Amu then began getting migraines once more. Concerned for her well-being, Seika erected a barrier around them while stating that curses would be unable to get through, causing her headache to stop immediately. Seika told her that she might have been cursed by someone since attending the academy. Amu stated she was unaware of any curse placed upon her and then asked Seika to take a look. She stripped completely naked, telling him to make it quick with an embarrassed look on her face. Seika checked her thoroughly but found nothing. But he did confirm that since her headache stopped after he placed the barrier, someone definitely put a curse on her. Seika then created a talisman with a strand of Amu's hair, stating that it would protect her from the curse. The two began talking and getting to know each other. Amu teased Seika about his relationship with Ifa, laughing at the fact that a noble would call a slave girl his family. Seika then told her that he was an illegitimate son and was treated poorly by everyone. Ifa was the only one that treated him normally. Seika then asked Amu about her family. She told him that her mother was a guild officer and her father was an adventurer. Seika noticed how her mood changed when talking about her family and then tried to change the topic. He asked her what she enjoyed doing, and she said she had loved fighting since she was a kid. Amu stated that even her parents and ex-party members thought she was battle-obsessed and weird, which is why she left to join the Magic Academy so she could get stronger. Seika then told her that she was not weird and just needed to find her place in the world because everyone and everything has a purpose. Amu's face turned red after hearing what Seika had to say. However, that was short-lived. She punched him in the face as soon as he said something stupid and threatened to kill him if he told anyone about what happened between them in the dungeon. However, she then thanked him for saving her life and for talking to her. They then set out once more, defeating monster after monster, then came across a strange door containing a powerful monster. They resolved themselves and then rushed inside. The monster awakens immediately. Seika attacks it with magic while Amu attacks from behind with the Wind Lance spell. Seika then used his blast nail art to impale the snake-like creature, and then told Amu to launch a fireball spell at its head. The nail then exploded, and Amu dealt the finishing blow. Seika rushed to Amu, but she threw herself at him with a happy look. She was ecstatic that they managed to defeat a dungeon boss. She was genuinely happy, even stating that they were in perfect sync even though they had never fought together. Amu then realized she got too excited and tried to regain her composure. Seika had already found the exit out of the dungeon and could have teleported out at any time. But he wanted to have a little fun while helping Amu to gain experience. They then entered another room where they found a mithril sword and a silver ring. Seika gives Amu the sword, stating that he does not need it since he fights using magic. Seika told Amu that he enjoyed adventuring with her, and that he had a lot of fun. Amu then began to blush. They promised to form a party once more when Seika became an adventurer. The two safely escaped the dungeon and reported what happened to their professors. Later that day, Seika approached Professor Cordwell, confronting him about everything he had been up to. He then confessed to everything from the demon attack on the academy to the curse placed on Amu in the recent dungeon debacle. Cordwell asked Seika how he figured out it was him, stating that he got rid of all the evidence. Seika told him it was a long story and then asked him to show his proper form. Cordwell then revealed that he is just a human, an agent of the devils there to kill the hero Amu. Seika then asked Cordwell about the magic circle in the room, asking him if he had developed it himself, while stating that he must be a genius. Cordwell is thrilled that Seika noticed the value of his creation, then stated that it's a curse infused with light magic that can kill any target from a distance under the guise of an illness, and that the only flaw is that it takes a long time. Fearing that Seika may foil his plans, he then casts multiple spells while laughing hysterically, stating that he will kill him and then kill the hero. Seika then tells him that his curse is no longer affecting Amu. Instead, it's affecting the talisman he made. Seika then tells him his curses are no threat since he figured out his conditions for activating the curse. Cordwell was shocked as he wondered how Seika was able to figure out his spell. Seika then summons a massive devil from his void. Seika then placed the curse on the devil and killed it, activating it on himself. Cordwell asks Seika if he has gone mad, stating that he will not come out unharmed after taking on his curse. Seika then begins chanting. Moments later, Seika tells Cordwell that curses tend to have a habit of coming back to bite before deflecting the curse back onto Cordwell. Blood starts gushing from his eyes. He begins vomiting blood as he drops to his knees and then dies choking in a pile of blood. Seika then revealed that he figured out that Cardwell was the culprit because of his Shikigami he has patrolling the grounds of the academy. Seika learnt that Cardwell's clothes had pollen from flowers only found by the magic circle, then deduced it was him. It is now the next day, and we see Seika and Aoife sitting together in the courtyard. Seika then tells Aoife to hold out her hand. He then hands her the ring he found in the dungeon after defeating the boss. She was ecstatic. Her face lit up with a smile as she thanked him, telling him she would take good care of it. Amu then walked by the courtyard. Seika called out to her, but she gave him the cold shoulder, telling him not to talk to her as if they were friends. Seika was shocked as he thought they had made progress toward becoming friends. However, Amu walked up to Aoife and thanked her for tutoring her the other day. Then, they began chatting and laughing while Seika was left there, baffled. To see more amazing anime recaps, check out this video right here.